my honor to present the Father Edward Boyle Award to arbitrator James Cooper. Jim's pretty much an oxymoron. He's a passionate neutral. And when Jim was with the Mass Labor Relations Commission, he built a talented team of attorneys and labor relations specialists who had to organize bargaining units, conduct elections, and rule on unfair labor practices once Massachusetts employees were given the right to bargain over wages. Many of those folks are here in this room tonight. They were a busy bunch, and they did amazing things. And together they accomplished something historic, important, and of lasting importance, and they know it. All the media's head shaking about what the arbitrator did or did not do in a particular situation highlights how poorly understood the role and function of arbitrators is. Yet Jim has talked arbitration with hundreds and hundreds of labor relations stakeholders over 30 years at the Guild School on his arbitration and government agency classes. You have been an evangelist, Jim, for the arbitration process and for the labor guilds, and we are grateful. Father Ed Boyle and Father Mort Gavin would have smiled to hear me say, the Labor Guild is proud to honor James S Cooper with the 2013 Boyle Award for excellence in labor management relations, exemplifying integrity, fairness, professional competence as an arbitrator, for being a remarkable connector of people, and building a more knowledgeable labor management community. Jim, could you come up? That's it? Yep. We're sorry.
Okay. All right now. I've been out there before. Father Hare, Father Sullivan, Father Clarity, Representative Lynch, Treasurer Grossman, co-chairs Sean O'Brien and Steve Avinato, my fellow honorees and welcome guests, including in particular members of Father Boyle's family, his sister Peg Coughlin, her husband Jack, his brother Jack, and his brother Gerard, his niece Tracy Coughlin, and nephews Bill Pulaski and John Doherty. They're all here today. Father Ed's sister, Father Ed's sister Mary Lee Pulaski could not attend due to a scheduled knee surgery on Monday, and I wish her a speedy and full recovery. If they would, without overly embarrassing them, I would like the Boyle family to stand and take a round of applause and tribute to their spectacular and wonderful brother and uncle, in whose name I am honored to accept this award. Now, a few remarks. I know full well that I stand between you and dinner. I would like to make a very few remarks. Please bear with me, because if you don't, my son Will is going to split your eardrums with his whistle. That's quiet. In March of 1976, Father Mort Gavin called me and asked me to visit him at the Guild's office, then in the basement of the Immaculate Conception Church on Harrison Avenue in Boston South End. At the time, I lived around the corner from the Guild and happily rode my bicycle to meet Father Mort. He asked me to join the Guild and invited me to the communion breakfast the following month. I gladly accepted. In those days, the communion breakfast was held in the basement behind the Guild's office, where breakfast was served community style on large, round, folding tables. After breakfast, everyone cleared the tables, and I found myself rolling those large tables the length of the building to be stored. It was then that I realized why Father Mort invited me. It was not my intellectual capabilities or my government position. It was simply that he needed another strong body to move those tables. I loved it. When I met Father Mort, he introduced me to a new Jesuit priest who had recently joined him at the Guild, Father Ed Boyle. I quickly struck up a friendship with Father Boyle. I do not know if many of you know this, but Ed Boyle was a fabulous, fabulous athlete. He was an All-American squash player and captain of the Dartmouth squash team. When he learned that I played squash, he immediately invited me to play. When he learned, thereafter we met a few times on the squash courts in the M block of Boston City Hospital, down the street from the Guild's office. Needless to say, Father Ed murdered me on the court. He would make me run up and down and back and forth. I could never score even 1 point, not 1 point. He may have been a man of mercy, but he showed no tendency on that squash court. Each time at the end of our match, I would be sprawled out on the court, half dead. And Father Ed would come over and he would lift me by my sweat-soaked shirt and say, "Great game, Jimmy, my boy, great game." He was truly Meshuggah. In 1984, after the late and wonderful Ted Roll retired from teaching the arbitration course of the Guild, Father Ed invited me to teach the course. By this time, the Guild had moved to St. Anne's on Hancock Street in Quincy. How could you not like going there? The Guild was right next to Let's Have Fun Nursery School and the Egg and I restaurant. I loved the teaching, and I had many great students, including Tommy Nee and Ronnie McGilvery, who are now major honchos at the Boston Police Patrolmen's Association. And I know one thing that I am sure everyone in this room knows: they have certainly taken arbitration to heart. While teaching, I used to get so fired up after class, the only way I could calm down was to go around the corner to the Stop and Shop on Newport Ave in Quincy and spend 2 hours food shopping. My wife, Sue, used to say, "We eat real well when Jim teaches at the Guild." At the end of each course, the students fill out a short survey form. Every class I taught, every student put down more guest speakers. I can take a hint. So by the time the Guild moved to Weymouth, I was inviting my arbitrator friends, my arbitrator colleagues, to come to all of my classes. I have to tell you, my arbitrator friends are fabulous. No one ever turned me down. In fact, the faculty members, Paul Kelly and Ken Grace, were always amazed at how I always had a guest speaker, subtly accusing me of being like Tom Sawyer and getting others to whitewash the fence. Along with coming to class, I invited my colleagues to join me and my recently acquired co-teachers, John Hanson and Paul Higgins, to join us for dinner at El Serape, a small Mexican restaurant around the corner from the Guild's most recent office at St. Joe's in Weymouth Landing. These dinners turned out to be as much fun as teaching. I look forward to them as well. A few years ago, I got another idea for a Guild at the course, which was to bring in more guest speakers from the many state and federal agencies involved in work-related issues. My friend Rick Raleigh and I taught this course together before he shot off to London. The course, now called Agency All-Stars, was truly an eye-opener. Every agency I called sent terrific people to make a presentation to the class. The NLRB, Workers' Compensation, the Department of Labor, OSHA, EEOC, MCAD, DLR, unemployment compensation, you name it. And they were just informative and informal, a perfect combination. During the first agency course, Regional Director Rosemary Pye spoke about the NLRB. The following semester, when Rosemary heard that Rick was away, she joined me in teaching the class. Now I can tell you that working with Rosemary is a real trip. Her energy and effort in putting the course together was astounding. The course is now hers, and I can tell you that even after 40 years in the business, I'm always amazed about how little I know. I have spoken long enough, but before I end, I want to mention something about the wonderful people of the Guild. It was not long after I joined the faculty that I learned that you could ask Father Ed a question, such as, do we have class on Monday night of Patriots Day? Or do we have a particular video? Questions like that. And he would give you the answer. But if you wanted the right answer, you asked the Guild's longtime secretary, Mary Stanley. We lost Mary. I wasn't going to cry. We lost Mary in January 2007 and Father Ed in November of that year. It was a very difficult year for the Guild. But there are many others who've taken up the slack. Joan Santa Maria, a true stalwart at the Guild, volunteering to do everything. Not to mention Allison Avery, Mary Gandola, and Daniela Dana, who have made my experience there just the joy I hope I have expressed here. I also want to extend my deep appreciation to SEIU Local 1199 for allowing us to move our courses closer to downtown and public transportation by letting us use the conference space at Columbia Point. Of course, AFSCME's George Embleton and the printers Mary Callahan and his wife Maureen have devoted so much of their lives to this organization. Just to let them know that their work has made a huge difference in my life and the lives of hundreds and hundreds of workers and their employers who make up the backbone of our democracy. Finally, I want to thank my wife, Susan, and my children, Phoebe and Will, while excusing me from home 16 Monday nights a year, year in and year out, without fail, and eating all that food I brought home for them. Thank you.